What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Weirdo, more from Tinrib Recordings. This is another tune from 1998. Both of Weirdo's first two singles were the same year. Sorry, Luca. I don't mean to disturb you. But yes, we're going to listen to Photic Zone, which is different than Make You Groove in that it is definitely more trancey, atmospheric. It's a bit darker. I wouldn't say it's, in fact, it's more than a bit darker. It's quite a bit darker. And it has this very, almost psychedelic, I mean, it's not really goa-trance or psy-trance, but it has a bit more of that flavor than is typically meant even when you say hard trance. So, again, this label Tinrib is known for a synthesis of hard house and hard trance stylings. This one definitely more in the hard trance direction, and even with a bit of psychedelic atmosphere. So, let's give it a listen. This is Photic Zone by Weirdo from 1998. On Tinrib, although as I look at this, okay, it's this side. What do you think, Luca? She's like, I think you're playing it at the wrong tempo. Just a thought. Almost like a blade sound. Tempo, again, it's got pace. All these little noises, a little lasery noise, a little wooden rattle. Almost like a hardcore synth, the way it's fragmented and chopped up. like a psychedelic ghost haunting. Little acid touches, it's very tiny. The layering of synths on this one is crazy. Incredible. Again, a very different tune than Make You Groove, right? And it's just a marvelous bit of production. Not only do I think it is another example of this label and the way that you get hard house sounds. In this one, I think the percussion scheme is still a bit hard house, but the synth work and the atmosphere is definitely more hard trance, again with a bit of a psychedelic twist in it. And it also is just really well layered, just all those different synth and melodic rhythms, even though the melodies are dark and a bit wicked. You know, it's not melody in the sense of being an exquisite or beautiful melody, but they're all very dramatic and they sort of escalate over the course of the track. They're, like, if you really listen, there's a new one that comes in almost every measure, and then it's the way they run independently is interesting, and the way this dense synth thicket of sounds begins to emerge by the time you get to the middle of the tune is really incredible. And I like the breakdown. It's hardly a breakdown. It pulls out the kick and already has this building to a crescendo type of feel. It's like the track very briefly takes a big breath and then rolls back in with this almost like, I don't know, like a cloud bank of synths that's just, you know, coming over the hills and like entirely covering the town, if you will. Like, it really just takes over the track and leaves you marveling at the atmosphere and the intensity of it. So yeah, it's a real standout track, I feel. It's the kind of track that if you're listening to a set, and you know, I take a different attitude on fillers than some people in the techno and trance world. Sometimes filler is used as a pejorative, a dirty word, a track that isn't all that memorable, but you gotta flesh out your set with something and so on. I tend to view fillers as a tune that might be less of a marquee track. It might not stand out as much, but it maintains the energy and the vibe of the set you're spinning. But this is definitely not a filler, whether you define it more pejoratively or positively. It's the kind of track that, like, you know, people will walk up to DJs after the set, like, oh, what was that third tune that you used? Like, what was that track? And unlike some other tracks, there's no sample here, there's no vocal. We're like, Make You Groove, you'll never forget that. Like, and, you know, when I learned what it was called, it was like, of course, like, that has to be what it's called, because it loops that sample, you know, for a long portion of the track, and it's just the real standout sonic detail. This one has so much atmosphere and so much complexity, but there's no vocal to make you like, oh, it's clearly going to be called this. So it's one of those tunes that people would ask you about after a set. So a really fantastic one, very different from Make You Groove. Take a bow, Weirdo. Let me know what you think of this one. And by the way, that's me talking to the producer, Weirdo, Dom Harding, not to you, people who have watched. But yeah, this Weirdo and I will see you next time. Let me know what you think. Peace.